Hello, good morning or good evening, everyone. This is Marlena McCullough from Arkansas, and it's 7 a.m. here, and it's 8 p.m. Arkansas time. So this is Zoom number 111, and I am getting a few people in already. So let me get people to come in. And I see Paulina, Donita, Leah, Riza.
Hello, Miss. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you? Thanks for coming on. Um, I guess Shay's not on yet. Um, there's Giselle. Hi, Giselle. Oh, hi, Giselle. I'm gonna ask you to make my my co-host, okay?
Yes, Doc.
All right, thank you. Risa, Paulina, Leonore, Leah, Danita, Albert, thank you for coming on. Giselle here, and I guess Giselle will let people in. Okay, how's everyone doing? Albert, it's nice to see you. Where is he? How are you, Albert?
Hello, Doc. Good evening. I'm fine,
Evening. How
Doc.
are you? Are you doing okay? I like your background there. That's nice.
Yes, Doc.
It looks like an African view or something.
Yeah.
So how's everything going there? Are
This
you
is
ready for
our.
Christmas? Are you all ready for Christmas?
Yes, Doc.
Yeah, because Burr, the moment it starts to be a Burr, September, you already are celebrating Christmas in the Philippines. I have not even decorated for Christmas yet because our Thanksgiving is still just this weekend. So we always decorate right after Thanksgiving. So like this weekend, we could decorate for Christmas then. Yeah, some people would do it earlier, like Filipinos usually would do it earlier, but in my tradition, I've always done it like right after Thanksgiving. So you know what I'm doing Friday, Sunday. So anyway, so what do you do for Christmas, Albert? What do you usually do for
Well,
Christmas?
Doc, we are preparing here in our. Yeah, we are preparing here in our beach because every Christmas we have a family reunion.
Nice. You're on the beach. Oh, I'm so jealous. I miss the beach.
Yes, Doc.
Yeah. Well, that's cool that you have the family reunion. You have a lot of people? Do you usually have a lot of people?
Only our close family members. The four siblings of my Lola.
Oh, nice. That's still a lot then, because if that is the siblings of the Lola, you have three generations there. Yeah, a lot. How many
Yeah.
cottages, how many cottages on the beach usually do you have? Lots of cottages?
Uh, yeah. In our beach, we only have five cottages. We have two big rooms, and we have our function hall.
Okay. Is that yours? Do you own it, Albert?
Well, this is owned by our family,
Nice. Where
bought
is
by
that?
my sister.
Where
Yeah.
is that at? Where are you located?
Wow. Here in Hinubaan, Negros Occidental, somewhere
Negros.
in
Nice.
Bacolod
Oh,
City.
nice. Maybe someday I'll see y'all there. That's what I
Yeah.
would love
Yes,
to.
doc.
That would be cool, right? Do you have any question for Shay when Shay's in? I'm gonna text her because she may have overslept. Let me text her real quick. Um, hey, we are on Zoom now. I'm gonna call her too. So anyway, you have any questions for her? She's a Visa sponsor, so oh, she's already up. Let me see. She said good morning. So okay. So she's up. Is she in? Is she in yet, Giselle?
Not yet, Doc.
Oh, okay,
By the
gotcha.
way, good morning.
Oh, Shey. Oh, I didn't know if you were still awake or not. So okay, I will see you on Zoom.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Bye bye. Bye bye. Okay, she answered. Um, last time I was here 2 weeks ago, but I was with my sister in Hot Springs, about 4 hours away, and celebrating my sister Maddie's birthday, and it did not record. So I mean, it recorded, I guess, in my device, but I can't find it. So that's why there was no recording. But did you say, Albert, you have a question for Miss Shey? Can you hear me? Did I lose him? Giselle, did I lose Albert?
You still here, Doc?
Ah,
I don't
okay.
know.
Albert.
Maybe.
Oh, yeah. Do you have a question for Shey or me? All right. So who wants to talk next? Giselle, you want to call somebody for me?
Hi, Doc. Good morning. I think
Good morning.
on donate Rose is I'm not very familiar with it.
Giselle, what happened? You did not turn on your camera?
I'm not feeling well, Doc.
Oh,
I had my ear infection and it's
okay.
painful,
That's
but
okay.
I'm ready.
Well, I hope you feel better soon then. Who are you? Who did
Thank
you
you,
call?
Doc.
Yeah, who did you call?
Ma'am Michelle is already
Michelle.
again, Doc.
Oh, there she is. There's a pretty girl.
Morning.
Hey, good morning. How are you? How are you settling in your new place?
It was great. So we had housewarming. Yes,
Nice. You
and
did. Did you have a lot of people?
it's just the family of Elna.
Staff?
Yeah, and some
Yeah.
stuff.
Okay. Well, I'll have to go. I'll have to go see you one of these days.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for coming on. And
was
we
check.
do, I send a reminder to folks, and I don't know, we don't have very many. Usually an average of 40, 50, 60, but lately we've not been having too many people in. So um
I just messaged them.
yeah, you just message some people. Yeah. I message some folks too. So anyway, for any of you here, this is Miss Shey, and Miss Shey is our Visa sponsor collaborator. So if this is an opportunity for you to ask Miss Shey questions, and if you don't have any questions, maybe Miss Shey has some information or update for us that she could tell us. You have any update, Miss Shey, for us that you?
Morning, everyone. So, uh, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Good
Everybody's
evening.
saying good morning.
Morning. Good morning,
So,
Miss Michelle.
Morning.
so we already done with the teachers qualifying interview with Anais Way. So we have qualified teachers now ready for principal and interview, but there's still final interview from Dr. Merlina. So they're ready for January, perhaps, Doc?
Yeah.
Ready to start on January?
Yeah, I'm planning to resend a letter to all the superintendents, like maybe after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
People always plan ahead. By the time they know their need by January, then they start hiring. They start interviewing. So they would know that for sure by February, because they would have people sign their intent like by end of February or March. So that's when they would know who's coming back and who's not and who's retiring. So that's when they would know. So they always plan ahead. Before school is out, they're already interviewing. So for those that are really serious about coming here, you might want to pursue sending your resume and cover letter plus a letter to Miss Shey at michelle.e@anayasway.org.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you can CC me, McCullough Merlina at gmail.com, and you can see my last name there, McCulloughMerlina at Gmail. So you can CC me and just put ITSA, ITSA, Dr. McCullough on this subject so that she'll know that it's through ITSA that you are contacting her. So anyway, have you still been getting a lot of letters, Michelle?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Uh, some of the teachers who applied probably they can be qualified for Arkansas, but they have to secure Praxis or TOEFL.
Oh, yeah, TOEFL is a really big thing especially for administrators that have already hired teachers that could not pass Praxis or no, not Praxis, especially TOEFL, TOEFL, because they try and they could not, so they eventually had to leave. 2 years, they're usually given 2 years to do that. And some of them have taken it 8, 9 times and could not pass it still. So they end up moving in neighboring states like Texas, for example, that does not require TOEFL. So for those that are really serious about coming and you know that you're coming to a state that needs a TOEFL, go ahead and take it TOEFL at your place there in the Philippines. You can go to www.ets.org and then on the search button put TOEFL, and then it will show you directions then on where to go and whatever. So that's what I would do if I were you. Same thing with Praxis, same website, ets.org, and you just type Praxis. And then for elementary, you have 4 different Praxis tests you have to take for all the 4 core areas. So your science, math, literacy, and social studies. So there's a 4-hour test that will cover all 4 of them. And there is also 4 separate tests. I would recommend the shorter tests and do it one at a time because it's not easy. So taking the 4-hour test might be too much because you really need to give yourself time to study. Like I'd start with math because math is a universal language. What do you think, Shay? Don't you think math would be an easier way to pass, possibly?
Elementary,
For
yeah,
elementary. Yeah.
usually math and English or
Yeah.
for
And for social studies, you may have to actually look at the content. You go to the standards, or you need to go to the Department of Education in Arkansas. It's called Arkansas Department of Education. You just Google it with that quote, and then go under standards and look for your standards for social studies, for example. Once you've done that, then you kind of see what's covered. Like for example, if it's Arkansas history, you're gonna have to look into that and find that, read about contents on that because you won't know if it's in the standard and you didn't study it. It could be a U.S. history, which is gonna include the Civil War, for example, and it could be world history that would include the World War I, World War II, and so on. So that's important to go ahead and look at the standards so that when you study, you have studied the content that goes with science and social studies specifically. I think with literacy as well, there would be some literature that they may recommend that each grade would be reading, and you have to be aware of that literature title and content. So you might want to read up on those so that if they ask you specific things about the content area, then you will know. So my sister Milet took the test for Praxis to teach from elementary to middle school, and she found that there were some books that she had to read. I mean, you can just do a shortcut and read the summary or whatever, but she had to know the story in order for her to know how to answer. So there were some things like that. So you might want to I would recommend like you get a reviewer or something. There's a reviewer that shows you the format of the test. That's a biggie. So what else can you say, Shay, from helping these candidates? What did you see any pattern of mistakes or errors that they need to remember, especially on their resume, cover letter, or whatever? What's a pattern that you need to tell them that they should do?
When you submit a resume, you have to highlight your skills. So highlight the skills, what you have written in your resume to your cover letter. It should align. It shouldn't be, you contradict with your what you have written and what you have written in your resume and what you have in while you were introducing yourself during the interview. It
Yeah.
should and don't talk too much and don't brag about yourself.
The video, they're talking about the video. Yeah, the 2 to 3 minute video.
You have gained and you have transferred to your students.
Yep. Student impact is a big one. So it's more, yeah, focus on the impact that you have with students. It's not about us, remember, as teachers, it's about them, about the kids. And how can we better help them? For example, if you're going to talk about PDs, professional development that you have gotten, what were the things in the PD that you have learned that you immediately used in your classroom? Those are some things like that you could focus on. Yeah, and of course, you could always also include your awards and all that, but make sure it's relating to your subject area. For example, if you teach literacy, put some things there that are related to literacy. And of course, your extracurricular would be things that you are willing to coach, possibly. That would be another selling point for you. Anything else, Michelle, that they have to include that it's a common mistake?
What else?
The references.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. If you don't have references, you have to have 3 references at the bottom of your resume. So the references need to have the 2 administrators and 1 colleague, so that you make sure that you have their titles. So for example, Dr. Marlena McCullough, and if I'm the principal, comma principal, and then put my email and the phone number. The email is very important because those 3 folks will get survey from the school, and they're asking about you, what kind of teacher you are. So those folks that you had put in your resume, tell them to pay attention to their emails, because they will be getting an email about you. And if they don't answer, well, you just lost your opportunity to get interviewed. So that is a big one there. So those folks that you want to be interviewed by me at the end, when do you want to do that? Do you want to do that after this one? Or
May schedule it by next week or perhaps
yeah, just let me know and I will,
December.
set it up. Yeah, that sounds good.
We'll set up for final interview on December.
Okay.
I'll
So
get names. So we still have 2 more to get interview for the TQI, and then I'll send you the list of the final teachers.
that sounds good.
Right.
Yeah. And then, so what else do I was trying to think about things that, they were worried about, like for the visa, the J1 program really was not impacted by when Mr.
No,
Trump, the president, had told us about the $100,000 on top of the visa fee. That only affected the H-1B program, not the J1. So the J1 is still the same, right, Shay? They
Yes.
didn't really, yeah.
the same. So you don't need you don't need to worry as long as you were able to get the job offer, then we can work on that.
Yeah, that's the big one, is a job offer. www what was it? Schoolspring.com is one that you could, schoolspring.com. You would go in, and the first time you go in, of course, you have to register. They may want, I don't know if they want a US address or not, but if you have already sent me an email, you can look at my address and see what the format of it. And I think if they want Social Security, they were 9 digits. Try putting your TIN number, I mean your number that you have in the Philippines. What do you have in the Philippines as 9 digits, Shay? What can they use?
Usually they will just use the 9 zeros or 999.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you can put not yeah, all zeros or all nines in that spot and it would work. Okay. Yeah.
Else.
So what else? Riza, you're new here, right? Riza, do you want to talk to Shay and me?
If you have any questions with regard,
Yeah. I talked to Albert earlier. Riza or Donita.
Donita is a new one. She's under Liberty.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I just assessed her yesterday.
Okay, Donita, talk to me since I
Yeah.
obviously talked to Shay, but not with me.
If you wanna improve your a principal interview, you want to make it successful, you have to attend every Zoom we have here.
Yeah, because you can ask us question, and we practice interview questions here. For example, I can tell you, let me see if Donita is here, I'll try to see what I'll ask her. Put you in a spot and see what you'll say. Where is Donita?
Let's start her introduction.
Yeah, let's start with your introduction, Donita. I want to see what you would say, because that's the first question they would say. They would say, well, they would usually introduce themselves, and after that, you take notes on who they are, okay? Their name and their title, and then introduce yourself. Um, how will you do that, Donita?
I don't
Okay, and
The,
Donita Rose, I'm a licensed professional teacher from the Philippines with over 7 years of teaching experience. Elementary learners. I hold a bachelor's degree in elementary education and a master of arts in educational administration and supervision. I'm also a tennis coach, a tennis player, and a tennis trainer. I have taught English, mathematics, values education, and math. I have experience coaching journalism, broadcasting teams, and tennis athletes. I also integrate arts, music, and sports into my lessons to make meaningful and holistic. That's all, miss. That's all, Donna.
okay.
Sorry.
Um, I mean, just like I am guilty of this too. You could slow down on your, because you were talking so fast that you need to really give yourself to pause. I
Yes,
have to give you an advice that somebody gave me that make every word count. Okay? So try to make sure that every sentence will be clear and that they're not just running together like you're reading. You need to talk to us. Okay? And you need to look at the camera too, because you know where your camera is, usually on top of your laptop. So look on there and talk to us like you're visiting us. Okay? So that is good that you integrate those arts in your lessons. So you need to talk about differentiation possibly, and maybe your use of technology. And
yes, Doc.
yeah, and you did not include anything about like why do you want to teach in the US and what are your teaching philosophies? What do you believe about teaching? Those two important things that you need to close up with. You need to make sure you include that because those are usually things they want to know. Why do you want to come to the US? So let's add those two things and see what you'll say. Tell me two things. Why you want to come to teach and then your teaching philosophy.
So, my teaching philosophy is I believe every child can learn when given the right support, environment, and encouragement. My philosophy centers on respect, though, creativity, and student-centered learning. I'm aimed to develop not only academic skills, but also character, confidence, and independence. That's my philosophy.
That's good. You can include things like in my classroom, this is how it would look like. Okay. So, yeah, instead of just making those vague statement like that, own it. Okay. Make it your
Great.
own. So in my classroom, because if you're just reading it as if it's just like a statement there, it's not you. You need to own it. This is in Marlena's classroom, this is it. In Donita's classroom, this is what it looks like. Okay? So you want to say those, I guess, those pronouns. Like in my
Yeah.
classroom, this is what I do. And you can even sort of say an example. Like for example, I did this. I incorporated art when I did this lesson and whatever. And so how about why do you want to come here to the US to teach?
I want to teach in the USA because I'm eager to grow as an educator, experiencing a diverse and dynamic learning environment. I hope to share the values and culture of the Philippines while learning from new perspectives that will strengthen my teaching practice. Teaching in the USA will allow me to meet a greater, to give or make a greater impact, develop professionally, and bring the best of what I learned back to my students and community. That's
Very
all I
good.
want to.
That's better answer. Yeah. Hey, is that background from your
Yeah.
end? You have people talking behind you?
Sorry, Doc, I'm in Starbucks right now because
Because I'm
sorry,
thinking,
Doc.
if you're gonna get an interview, you need to make sure it's quieter than that
Yes,
because we are hearing a lot of background.
this
Do
is
you
not
think, Shay?
sorry. Sorry.
Distraction.
What's your comment on her, dear Shay?
Um, yeah, the background as well. And if you will be given the chance to have a principal interview, own it. Make sure you always put in your mind that this is the last one that I got, so I'll make the best of it. So
Yeah.
that includes everything: the noise background, the way you deliver yourself. Always, when you go to a war, you have to have your full weapon with you.
Yeah. And look at the distance of the body, the face that
Yeah,
she is showing. And I
Yes,
tried to
yes.
show, yeah,
please have.
not just your face, but it needs to say part of your top. Yeah. So just like Shay and I are doing, try to follow that because you don't want it just your face being framed, you know. Shay does a very very good job on that. Mine is even like needs also improved. But anyway, but something like that. And okay, let me
Thank you,
give you
Doc.
a question. Let's give her a question, Danita.
Be
So how,
natural.
huh?
Talk naturally, eye to eye contact. If you
Mm-hmm.
can,
Yeah. Yeah,
always.
looking at the camera, talking to us. So, Donita, what if you have an angry parent coming in and really mad about something? How do you handle angry parents?
That's cooperative.
You always think about, your own situation. You can always say things like, I remembered a incident where, or whatever. You make it, you own it, like Miss Shea said. Make it your own situation, okay? All right, you want to try it?
Napakaingay lang po dito, nahirap. Sorry po.
What happened on angry parents? If you have an angry parent coming to see you because they're mad about something, what would you do?
First, Doc, I will talk to the parent first. Like for example, a student misbehave inside the classroom. This is the first thing that I need to do. First, I will talk to the student. I will know what is the real situation of or what really happened. Then next, I will talk to the parent. First, I will give positive feedbacks before giving the what we call this the negative feedback of his or her child.
Donita, you answered the wrong question. You answered the question about misbehaving kids. But my question is about an angry parent. A parent was mad. A parent was mad about something, and they came to school mad about something that happened. So you don't need to answer me about somebody misbehaving. That could be a topic that the parent could talk about. But the topic that you need to answer me is about how to deal with parents who are mad, who are angry about something? What would you do? If I come into school, I'm so mad.
Uh,
Here I am. So how do you handle me? What do you say to me?
um, First, I will stay calm. Then,
Stay calm is
I will
good.
I will ask him or the parent to be calm also, and I will look at him um as a professional teacher that I am here to guide children. This is a school. We are helping each other to have a good relationship between school and the parents. I will also give and maintain the calmness, and I will give positive feedbacks from the students. And I will discuss that we can talk um, everything in calmness.
Okay, you're hitting parts of it right. Like I like the one that you said about calming them down, which is always a good thing. Have them to sit down, and that's always a good thing. And then the word I was listening for is the word listen. I am there to listen to what they are gonna say to me, and I would add that take you a piece of paper and actually make a bulleted notes of what they said. Then that way, when they finish, you can relate it back. By the way, that's better view for you. You can relate it back and say, "This is what I heard you say." Bullet one. This is what you said. This, you said that, you said this. Did I get it right? You can kind of repeat it back so they know you listened. Okay, so point by point, and you do that. And then you said, you also did a good job of saying that we need to be on the same page, kind of like a partner. Remember, we're partners in education. We are all after what's good for, for Johnny or whatever your child is. And so do that. Make sure that you yeah, you thank them for coming. I'm so glad that you did you came in because I of course I always want what you want. I want your child to be happy. I want your child to learn. And you mentioned something like that too. But anyway, so you want them leaving there knowing that their points got across. You heard them, right? And so that you recalling what they said is a very big deal out of it. It would calm them down for sure. And so then you do not just make a decision immediately, because a lot of times it may be because you need to investigate it. Said, okay, now that I have these notes, I'm going to have to investigate this, but I will get back with you. And I will get back with you this coming, whatever. Give them a date and just make sure that you do get back with them and follow up and follow through. Okay, so you say that I promised that I would see, I would let them know by the end of the week or that night or the next day. Then I made sure as a teacher that I did what I promised. Because a lot of times you may have to talk to the child, you may have to talk to a witness or two, for example, a child was fighting, for example. But what you don't want to tell them is that what you're going to do for the other child, for example, if he's fighting, don't share them that information. That's private. That's something between you and that child and the other parent. Okay, don't tell them that I'm going to punish this child. No, don't tell them that. Just deal with that particular child that, that parent came in. Just always remember the privacy of the other children and the other parents. Okay, but the important thing is that I made sure I listened to them. They left my classroom, feeling better, that we were on the same page, and that I did follow up. I did do my investigation, and and told the parent what I found and all that, and we talked about next steps. Okay, so that's kind of what you should do, is tell them exactly what you did, and then what happened. It's like a story, and then what's going to happen in the future, which will be your next steps. Okay, so you're like halfway there on your answer. Just make sure that yeah.
Yes,
So
Doc.
yeah. So I think that should be, hopefully that will be helpful. So what are the things that I said that could help you when you answer a question like that?
First, I have to think of what is the most appropriate answer. Be confident.
Yeah, be confident is good. Yeah, that's a good one. But how about the taking notes part? Is that something that you would do?
Yes.
Taking notes of what they said. Yes. Yeah. Okay. How about any other people here or attendees here? What comments, particular comments, do you want to say to Donita? Because I think Donita, you're kind of shy, but it looks like you are, you know, you're getting there. You're warming up.
Yes, I'm getting nervous because I'm here in Starbucks. I didn't expect that we have this kind of situation. I'm sorry.
That's okay. This is an
I'm
interactive.
expecting a webinar. Doc, sorry. Thank
No, no problem. This is very interactive because, yeah,
you so
because,
much.
yeah, Shay and I should be able to help you. Donita, I was a former administrator here in Arkansas. So these things I ask you were things we ask our former teachers. Okay. So that's why I really like it when the teachers were just visiting with us, like just talking like that back and forth instead of you being nervous and squirming like that, making, you just relax and you just talk to us. The more relaxed you are and how the flowing a conversation is very smooth, the better it is for your interview. Okay. Like right now, you're just like listening and you were not like the first time that you showed up, you were so nervous. I could just tell like, you were get your
Doc. It's Doc.
but that's very normal, very normal. Ask Giselle. Giselle's been here attending this for more than a couple of years, and she can look at her old videos and she could see the difference that she did whenever she first started talking to us. So, anyway,
That's
but that
really
is not bad, Donita. So, I just want you to continue to practice, okay? What do you think, Giselle?
I'm sorry. Hi, ma'am. I'm not gonna open my camera because
That's
I'm not
okay.
really feeling well.
That's
But I
okay.
would like to share, ma'am. As you see, I've been with Dr. Melina for over 3 years, and I had already 4 or 5 principal interviews. The first interview that I had, I was hired, but unfortunately, 13 of us were hired. But then there are some things came up, so hindi natuloy yung ano
Yeah.
namin. So
It
then
was
I
not
had,
it was not their control. It was a school's, yeah, issue. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then I had another 3. The other 2, after the thing with West Memphis Doc, I had 2 positive yung feedback, but then parang it's the constraint of time ang hindi pwede. So I
Yeah.
was not able to do that. Yes, if you remember Doc with Jay Clinton and the other one, it's Anna Strong.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have positive feedback. But as Dr. Melina always told us, just be yourself. Talk to them as if you are talking to your friends. And you know what? It's very helpful. And I think what's very important to me is the self introduction. Parang you put it everything there as what Dr. Merlina told us, when you introduce yourself, tell something about yourself, then you're teaching philosophy, that's very important. And the last one is, why do you want to go to the US? One interview that I had, I think that was in Anna Strong. The principal says, oh, you already said it all. That was her.
You
Uh,
pretty much addressed it, yeah. Because those are the famous
yeah,
things, yeah, common things that they would say. And and also another thing that you might want to include is tell me 3 adjectives about you. Tell me 3. You say I'm organized. I am passionate about learning, and I'm kind. Or lifetime learner, whatever it is that you want to say, and then say an example of each. Because I would love to know something about you that's not even put in the resume, but you're just telling us about what kind of teacher you are. Because a lot of times as administrators, we have one of those teachers in mind. We have things in our head already that we want to be a good fit, such as things like growth mindset. You can say like, I have a growth mindset. I'm always open to learn. I always believe that I can always improve, that it's not fixed. I'm always improving every day. And the moment you say that, that's always a plus for me as an administrator, because, oh, that's a growth mindset. People with growth mindset will get along with other folks, they're team players, because they're always open. Okay, that's one thing that you could include, something like that, some positive like growth mindset. What do you think, Shay? Anything else?
yeah. I just got a message from our group that they cannot get in to the Zoom because of the weather.
Oh,
The signal, their web
I'm
signal.
sorry. Yeah, sorry that. Well, they just have to get the video, I guess.
Yeah, I have to acknowledge the runway, our staff, our nice staff. So, morning.
Hey,
Sir,
good morning. Yeah, thanks for attending. You have some really good staff there. Good looking
yeah,
staff.
keep the house.
So what happened in your house? Are you the only one that living or do they live on the same, are you roommates?
Runaway is with me.
Nice. Okay, very good. Yeah, it's kind of boring whenever you're by yourself, especially in here in America. If you're not have your husband, you have a roommate, that's kind of boring. I lived in Jonesboro for 3 years and a half when I did my undergraduate because I was staying in a dorm. That's when I first got here in America. So that was 87, arrived, and by 88, I was already in Jonesboro going to school. And so, yeah, and then I graduated in 91 and I became a teacher and got a job that year. So, yeah, that was a long time ago. What would have been 9 plus 25? That's 34 years ago. So, yeah, it's it's been fun, and I just feel like because of our experiences, and I know that Shey also has a few years of experience in her belt, that we should be able to help a little bit, And Shey's got lots of experience of interviewing folks, and so mine would be, I have done a lot of consulting work, so I would coach teachers, I coach principals. That's what I do right now is I coach principals, I coach teachers, I even have high impact tutoring students. I'm pooling students, like 4 students at a time. I'm doing high impact tutoring. Right now I have a contract for 39 days that I have to do 3 weeks, three times a week for 13 weeks.
Wow.
So yeah, so I'm staying active, although I have been retired since 9 years ago. So I retired in 2016. So I already pensionada. I already get my money, my teacher retirement money every month. But this is a good income on the side. So yeah, consultants make good
Yeah.
money here in the US. Yeah. So anyway,
And you may ask um, if you want a practice for your principal interview.
we can add more questions. I have a lot more questions in my head that are common questions. Riza, do you want to practice with us, or Donna, Donita? What do you think about that practice? Did that scare you? Did it make you feel better? You
Hello.
are,
I will practice again at home because
yeah.
it's very busy. It's very
Hi.
busy place.
Yeah, I
Sorry.
yeah, I understand. Hey, if you are not part of my YouTube, I want you to Google my name in YouTube and put ITSA with it, ITSA, and you will see my YouTube. I have so many videos with interviews that you can get some information in. Okay,
I
and
will
if
check
you
it
look,
right now.
yeah,
Yes, Doc.
you go under Josephine videos. I have 2 Josephine videos where I actually interviewed a Filipino teacher with Maria, and I did it. And then I actually corrected her or added things to her answer, and she did such a good job that I said, "Hey, is that okay if I use yours as an example?" So there's a couple of Josephine videos there that you can search, that's the title I put it on in my channel. Okay, so those that are watching this, you may want to do that because this is now number 111 videos for me, just for Zoom. And so anyway, so you can just, like, I have playlists there that you could also go through. And so it will be so helpful to you. I think Giselle could tell you that if you either come in and practice with us like this, or you watch something and then you practice saying it in front of a mirror, so you can
Me.
kind of see how does my face look like when I'm talking like this. you know um Smiling will go a long, long way, and you have that. Very good, Danita. And so, do you want another question, or you want me to give it to somebody else? Give it to somebody else. Okay, Riza. Riza, do you want to try? Thank you again, Danita. You did an awesome job. Okay,
So much,
Riza, do you
Doc.
want to try? Did you say yes, Danita? You want another question?
So I said thank you, Doc, and
Oh, you're
thank you.
welcome. Okay. I didn't know what you said. Okay, got it. Okay, Riza. Is Riza saying yes or no? I don't ever want to force you
Yes.
guys. Okay, Riza. You said yes. Okay. So Riza, let me see if I could come up with another question. Yeah, what do you do if you have a student that is unmotivated? When you hear the word unmotivated, really, that's what it means, lazy kids, but you don't ever want to use that word lazy. But unmotivated kids, they come in with no homework, they just do not do anything in your classroom. What do you do with that? Go ahead.
Um, I think based on my experience here in here in the Philippines, if my student is unmotivated, I am going to talk to him or her personally, and then I will really ask him or her what is going on with his or her life, so that I can build rapport with that student, and eventually I can know better. I can fully understand what is his or her story, and then eventually from that, I can um, make or either a personalized activity or lessons, or either I can also um go above and beyond with the lessons so that I can help the student.
Okay, I would say that's a 3 out of 4 possibly, but you might want to add things like if you really make it specific. So if you say, for example, I recalled one student named Anna in my classroom, or you can say AK, whatever, you can do an initial, you don't have to put a first name. I remember that she had problems with this specific thing, that this child, Anna, was always working hard, but then all of a sudden, no homework, no, things are not done. And that's when I approached her and got to finding out that, the mom and dad were having problems, and dad was not in the picture anymore, so she's, her life is really different, and so she's missing him, and all that. So you kind of tell a story that way, and then your
Okay.
answer will be not generic. You can make it up even. Then your answer will not be like, oh, maybe like this. It's more specific. It's more like, this is what's really going to happen, this is what happened, and then this is what I did as a result of that. And because I have a good relationship with her, I was able to do this. And then I always checked with her. I had a daily whatever. And if it was serious enough, I sent her to a counselor. Or if it's serious enough, I even called the mother or the grandma, whoever's with, her guardian, and involved her in that in order to help this child. Because obviously they cannot learn if their amygdala is, if their emotional part is not being addressed. So yeah, that very good answer, by the way. Because I can tell from your answer that you're very caring, that you really want to have that relationship, that positive, trusting relationship and rapport with your student, which is a big must. And so you did that. So to make it like just a 4 out of 4 is that you make it your own. My kid,
Okay.
and this is what happened, and then you tell that story. It might be a made up story, it might be based on a book, maybe based thing, but it's something that you could do. You could do, because
Mm,
this is what good teachers do. It's about knowing your students is just as important as knowing my content area. Okay. And then follow up always. Like then later on, I followed up and I noticed that there was, some changes, or did it improve? Or, it took us about 2 months or whatever. It took us 2 weeks to get there. But it involved this many
mhm.
people, so you can kind of make it a story. So make it your own. The more
Okay.
make the more
Okay.
the better a storyteller you are, the better your interview would be. And those are the kinds of interviews that I always remembered, are those with personal stories, because it really makes it like,
Mhm.
oh yeah, that's what this teacher did. Okay, but you have a really good start
Mm.
of it. Yeah, and you have
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank
What do
you.
you think? What do you think, Shay? She has like this like a caring thing going on, right?
Exactly. When you introduce yourself, you put all the five. Was it five?
Five
How?
core propositions of national board. That's right. So
Yeah,
knowledge of students,
the knowledge.
knowledge of content,
You
assessment.
have to take note
Yeah,
of this.
take notes of this. Knowledge of students, knowledge of content, That's your strategies, and then assessment. So, and then last two are we match reflection and collaboration. So if you have those things, I kind of, when I answered my example with examples, I kind of use those. Okay, because you talk about the strategies you use, you talk about what you know about this kid, and how did you know that? Through assessing your assessments, what you know about the child before the lesson, during the lesson, after. And then you reflected, oh, this child is not doing as well as he should. So you reflected. And then collaboration piece would be what you did to reach out to the parents, to, other folks that could help you. That's the collaboration piece. So if you have all those pieces, your answer will be so rich. Okay. And I think you kind of have a
No
Okay.
question further. Your
yeah,
honor, like that.
it's deeper. Yeah, your answer will be deeper for sure. If you have those five corporate positions as a checklist in your head. Okay, well, how am I going to answer this with a knowledge of students? You did a good job with that part. Okay. And when the knowledge of content, the strategies I used, what strategy did work? You said you were going above and beyond. You just did not get specific about specific, strategy that
Mm.
you used. So you answer that part. And then with the assessment part is how did you know that this child is not doing well? Okay. And the reflection
Mm.
part is how do you know that, how to improve this child's behavior or, yeah. Um, and then of course a collaboration piece. Yeah. So end with a collaboration piece and always think parents and use words like, because I know parents are our partners in education. So as partners, they need to be aware of what's going on with their child, you know. So anyway, yeah. So Riza, that's kind of like how intense the interview could be, because they'll ask you specific
Okay.
things.
Yeah, and if they're going to ask specific things, you need to answer specific
Yeah.
answer also.
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
I will. I will. Thank you
Yep.
so much.
My favorite phrase I tell everybody is specific is terrific. Okay, always remember
Okay.
specific is terrific. And being specific is using a student's first name. You may have thought of this from Harry Potter, but yet you say it in your own student's name. It
Mm.
it could be a text-to-text connection, but text-to-world connection, but you did it like you owned it. Okay? Yeah, just remember that
Okay,
if you
I
do
will.
that, you will win them every time. So we have ITSA members here that were offered, like, they had two interviews, they were offered both jobs. I think it was Abby that did three different ones. So she had to choose which one would be the best one for me. And that's a good problem to have when you have this many people liking your interview because you did so well on your interviews. And to do that is to make it your own. Okay?
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, I will. Thank you. Thank
You'll
you
do
so
that. You're
much.
welcome. Yeah. Watch our videos on YouTube if you can. Or Facebook
Yes,
also
yes,
had
I
them,
will.
but I think YouTube would be better because it's organized. Okay, so who else? Who's the next victim? No, I'm kidding.
Thank
Who's the
you.
next brave soul?
If
Okay.
ever wants to volunteer.
Yeah, any volunteer, we always say if you don't volunteer, you'll be voluntold. And Shay and I are good at that. We're gonna find some voluntold. So anybody
So,
else? Oh,
but
we may be losing them. They were like, "Oh, let's get out of here. We don't want to do." No, I'm kidding. How about Leah?
Hello.
Who is this? Emilia. Emilia's really good at answering. Emilia. Okay, let's practice this. Shay, do you
I want
want
to
a question? Do we have
volunteer.
a question? You want me to come up with another question?
yeah, I have a question.
Okay, go ahead. Go for it.
So, as a teacher, um how do you deal with your disruptive students while you
Ooh,
are teaching?
yes. Oh, those are really common questions. Disruptive students, they want attention.
You're in the middle of your teaching lesson, then one of the students are disrupting, or a group of students are disrupting your lesson or your discussion. So how do you deal with that?
Yes. Good question for Emilia. Emilia, go for it.
Thank you very much for the question.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So most of the time, my first day in the class, I give them my rules and then expectations, and we all decide on that. And so I believe that that will be one of the rules in the class or one of the expectations. And so if along the line I see a student disrupting, I will go to the student. I remember one time there was a student She was not really distracting, but she was not paying attention. And so I had to go to her and then talk to her slowly. Why I could see her mind was not in her class.
Mm-hmm.
She started crying, and so I had to bring her out and then ask her. And she told me that the mother and the father had some issues, and so that day she walked to school. I was very sad, and so I encouraged her and told her to continue and that I would help her and support her. So after that, she was calm, and I realized that she was involving herself. And so when we're done with the discussion, I made her aware that I would call her to find out whether whatever we are discussing, she's been able to grasp it. And although she wasn't able to give me a full answer, the response showed me that she continued with by paying attention to class. And so that is what I have done some few months ago.
Hey, let everybody, let's give her a round of applause. Yay! I love that, love that, love that, love that answer. Emilia, you always do a good job. It covered everything, okay? It showed that she cared. I love that you said you were doing it slowly, and then later on, if you needed to talk, you went outside. That's a really good, important point. Very, very good. And I love that you followed up and followed through, and you noticed and you reflected, okay, this child's behavior better and so on. So you did not have to, obviously, it was already resolved before you had any collaboration pieces that you needed. So it's just a collaboration between the two of you, which is fine, but it was really a story. So that was such a great example. If I'm going to have to do a clip, I will clip that part right there, Emilia, that you had answered it very smoothly and very completely, really. What do you think, Shay?
Yeah, exactly. That's what
Good answer.
there's also one thing when you're in the middle of the lesson but you don't want to stop, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what approach are you going to do? Just to keep on going on your lesson, but still there's still group of students that are disrupting. So what approach are you going to do as a teacher to get their attention and focus on you instead? So
You have
as
that one. So if that happens, have you done proximity?
yeah,
Proximity
that
means you just walk over there to them without saying anything, but you stand right there.
perhaps
Yeah,
and stop their table, something
yeah.
like
Stand right there and just continue your class talking, but then you're very close to them, to their seat. They know, oh my gosh, where's the teacher going close to me? And they will stop. I've done that many times. I've even used that with teachers. When I do professional development and we have some coaches or whatever, they're always trying to plan for their play or whatever their game was. And they're doing that in the middle of my workshop. So I would walk all the way over there where the coaches are, and I would stay in right there next to whoever was the loudest. Like, uh-oh, Dr. McCullough's got you, because I would do that because that's also one way to be respectful. They know I'm aware that they're doing this, but without me saying anything, I just like continued my thing. I just look at and so they know they're smart. Kids will do the same thing. And
exactly.
I've done that so many times. And I'm sorry, coaches, but a lot of them were usually my friends who are coaches. They're too busy, with their friends or whatever, just like us sometimes.
Eh,
But yeah. But I've also seen some best friends, teachers that are really close together, and they were like not seeing each other for, a few days or whatever, and they were like talking about other things other than, what we're supposed to be talking about. They're talking about like what they did last night or what they're going to do this weekend. And so anyway, I would never embarrass them. Like I would never like, some teachers would point out and embarrass children. Don't ever do that. Okay, because that is something that you should ever not ever ever do. You should never embarrass children. That's why I love Emilia's answer about pulling this child out. But at the same time, you also need to say if you're pulling this child out, most of the doors here in the US have a little mirror glass thing where although you're talking to this child, you can still see what's going on in your classroom because you really do not need to abandon your class because if something happens and you're not there, you could also be liable. So
you can
just yeah.
sit and talk to them.
Yeah. So you could say something like, I asked my teacher next door to, to watch my kids while I talk to this very important urgent thing that I had to talk to this child. You could say that. Or you could say something about, the glass. I was watching the rest of the class, sideways right here while I'm talking to this child. Okay? Or you can say, I have a class president. I told the class president he's in charge or she's in charge. And so then I just step out for a little bit.
And
Okay?
also, as a reminder, do not talk with the student alone.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If they're in your classroom alone, like for example, lunchtime, and oh, I want to see whatever. Yeah, make sure that you have somebody else there.
But
Yeah, you don't want anybody saying things like, "Oh, so and so did this to me." Although in the U.S., in Arkansas, in the Delta area especially, most classrooms have cameras. So a child cannot really make up things because there is a camera in every classroom. And a lot of times you forget that it's there, but it's there in most classrooms now. They have cameras in the classroom. Principals don't even hardly go to your classroom because they're watching you from their screen. And there are some superintendents that whose hobbies were watching the classrooms. I have a friend who shared with me like, oh, one of my superintendent friends, that's his favorite thing to do is just like watch the teachers teach. But as administrator, I would rather be self-deploying myself and be showing my face to the teachers instead of trying to be sneaky and just look and just look in my office of their classrooms, because I want them to know that I really, I'm not there to get you, I'm there to support you. And so anyway, but that's a totally different deal. But anyway, Emilia, you did a good job. I really like your everything, the pieces that you put in there. Okay, the follow up, follow through was there, and you even told us the result of your intervention. And so that's a cool way to end that. So yeah, a good question, by the way, Shay. Awesome. What other question was gonna be a common question? Oh, how
what do
about question about and you can volunteer if you want, if you after you hear this. How about if you have a colleague that's just so hard to get along with, and they just like almost like they just do not want anybody, they don't want to be friends with anyone. They just rather be alone by themselves, fixed mindset, and they are not open to new people, and they're kind of cold. So what do you do with colleagues that are hard to get along with? How do you deal with that? Anybody
I
brave
don't
to?
I have encountered that question, Doc.
You have? Okay, answer it,
One of
Giselle.
my Yes, if I have remembered, my answer with that question was, I said, because it really happened to me, Doc, in
Mm-hmm.
my school when I was new. So
Mm-hmm.
what I did is I talked to the teacher. I went to her classroom and I said, "Can we talk? What's wrong? Why did you do that?" I was asking her, and it was just I'm telling her na, we are professionals and we can talk things, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you have problem with me, you can talk with me. It will be okay with me. And I
Mm-hmm.
have talked to the teacher about the problem, doc. And I also shared this with my interviewer that I have resolved the problem. And
By talking. Okay,
after that, we became friends.
nice. Okay,
Until now, doc, we are good friends.
good. But make sure that you say things like you did not just go to classroom in front of kids. You never do anything like that in front of kids. Okay,
Yes,
privately
doc.
when the kids were out, I talked to this teacher. Is that what you did, right, Giselle?
Yes, doc.
Yeah.
I think I was telling the interviewer I talked to her privately.
Privately. Very good. Yeah, and that's exactly how you handle that. I had a couple of colleagues before that were like mortal enemies. They taught the same grade as me, but I felt like I was the referee because these two could not get along. And so they one day this one teacher actually said some nasty things to the other teacher in front of students. That made me sad because that was my first year of teaching too. So that was like, oh my gosh, is that really how you do that? Because it did not feel right to me, and it wasn't. You should never be unprofessional, and I love that you use that word professional, Giselle, because we should be professional, and that's how we handle it. Professionals, we might not be best friends, but you can, and I love that you became friends, but sometimes you would never become one because some folks are just not best friend materials, or they're just not gonna be one. They don't want to be one. And for some reason, in every school that I've ever worked in, and I've worked in several now, but the ones that I worked a long time in, three schools, I always met somebody like that, and for some reason I always ended up winning them over. I A lot of times you ask them for help. You don't like giving them help that they did not ask from you would sometimes actually increase the problem, because this is what happened on that one, where there was some anger because this teacher was one teacher teacher A was giving teacher B a some kind of article, and the article refers to something that's a weakness of this other teacher. And she thought she was helping, but no, it just escalated the situation, because it was not even asked for. It was not, that other teacher was not asking for it. It's almost like you're picking on me. So it kind of created a problem. So a lot of time, if you just like reach out, I'm new here, what do you do? Do you mind sharing with me what would work with you in whatever situation? Yeah, a lot of time they will feel like you empower them because they know something you don't. And a lot of times I really don't know. And I really would like to know. And that's why, you do not fake it. It's authentic. I would ask a question that I think, like this particular one was a reading teacher. And I said, how do you deal with students with this problems of fluency? What do you do? Do you do, fluency cards, fluency, do you have them read to you every day? What do you do for these students with really fluency issues, in reading, for example, or comprehension questions? So anyway, at that time I was teaching reading and math for kids that were struggling. And so I was legitimately asking for, things that I could do in my classroom. And that seems to help. And another one you could do as Filipinos, we can cook them adobo or anything, pancit or egg rolls or anything like that, and just share with everybody, not just with that person, but everybody. Share with them, and then that person, they always like, oh, I really like that or whatever, and they would comment on it. And then later on, I would just like share with that person. Like we happen to have the same schedule. So here I got extra. You wanna try this? I tried, I cooked this last night or whatever. And so, or my mom cooked it. And so yeah, I won them over with food as well. So try anything. But those are some good strategies to use is talking privately like Giselle did, and winning them over with food, or asking them for help, would be a good one too. Some strategies you could use. Anything you want to add to that, Shay, or anybody? Because it's hard to, some of them here, guys, that this is what I've heard from other international teachers. Some of them are almost like bigots, like they are racist. That's one thing that they think that the teachers are the international teachers are thinking, that I have a colleague that's like a racist, like don't like me because I'm Filipino, or I'm this, I'm from another country, I'm from Africa, whatever. It's not that. It's because some people are just it's hard for them to accept change. Some of them, especially those in the spectrum, in the autistic side, very smart, but then they have social skill issue. It's hard for them to adjust to one person. I actually work with an autistic person, really smart, in one of the schools I went. It took him 3 years to get used to me, where he would actually talk to me and talk to me and in my eyes, and then refer to me with me as Marlena, instead of talking to the other person that was there longer and would talk about me in a third person, you know. And so it took him 3 years to get used to me. And he had a doctorate. This is how smart this person was. But the three of us were the curriculum teams. And this person had a hard time accepting me as the new member. And that was really, I struggled with that. I would come home and I would tell HD that, oh, I don't know, I've tried this. I eventually got to know the wife, and that's kind of how I got him to around to like, okay, I'm all right, I guess, because the wife became my friend. And the wife, I guess, was telling him, yeah, Marlena did this, Marlena said this, Marlena, whatever. So I won him over. But it took 3 years. And I was only in that school for 5 years. So and so it will take patience sometimes, but you'll do it. Just be patient. Just small victories, small wins, celebrate it. Yeah, I come home happy one time. So and so said hi to me. But anyway, okay, that's a question that could be asked of you is about getting along with colleagues because there are situations like that. A lot of times these colleagues are fixed mindset. They don't want to grow. They're just happy with that and they don't want to open to change either. So you would have people like that, and that's their personality. So so accept it and then work around it. So yeah. Anything else?
Um, can we ask more question? Another question? Probably they can share their views.
Yeah, those that had interviews already could actually share what were asked of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody that had, I know Giselle had all these interview questions that she had heard. So in Giselle or anybody else can share what was something that was hard for you to answer because then we could handle it here. We could talk about it here.
Or we can ask questions.
You can ask. Um, let me think. Oh, okay. They would ask you, sometimes they would ask you things, especially if you're a literacy teacher, and I'm a literacy specialist, right? So one of the things I could ask a teacher would be, tell me the book that you last read, a professional book or a children's book what were the last two titles that you have read? As literacy teachers, as reading teachers, we should be reading. Okay. So you need to have those titles in your head. Like I think one of mine that I always say is like from good to great. That's a book that I always liked, about from good to great. I forgot the author, and you need to know the author as well. So find some books that really impacted you, a professional book, and then of course the latest young adult books that you may have read. So if you're a high school teacher, what were the last book that you read? You always, I used to have a book in every bedroom, in every room. I would have one in the bedroom, I would have one in the living room, I had one in the bathroom. So I had this three books going. And so I would tell them the titles of these books that I read. Yeah. Or you could say I reread Harry Potter. I reread the Sky, the Twilight series because I'm bad about rereading the whole series. There's seven in that series. I've reread them, especially when going on a trip. Like we went to South Dakota and it took us 24 hours drive. So I took the whole Harry Potter series and I read the whole series by the time we came back, went there and then came back because it's so boring. So you just, but be ready for those titles. Okay, what was your last professional book you read, and what was the last children's book or young adults book that you read? So that could be something for literacy teachers that could be asked of you. Or if the curriculum person could ask any teacher that. So be thinking about titles of books. If you don't know one yet, you can always go to Amazon and read read the summaries or whatever of those that are really good books for teachers. So okay, strategy. I'm gonna think about okay, assessment. Assessment would be a good question to ask. Okay, so tell me about how you assess your students. Before you would do a lesson or a unit, what kinds of assessments do you do in your classroom?
Can we hear from Miss Christy?
Okay, see what Miss Christie would answer about assessment.
Hello, Ma'am Christy. I'm Christy.
Yeah, tell us some strategies you use, Miss Christie, on how to assess what your students know, want to know, and all
Message.
that, or what they have learned.
Probably she's not on.
She's not, okay, or she don't want to answer. Who wants to volunteer?
Yeah.
There's
This
Aurora.
community can help you.
Yeah, I think the more open you are about answering, we don't ever embarrass you or anything. I hope not. And if we comment on it, it's not to insult you. It's always coming from the good heart that we just want you to improve. You want to hear it from us rather than answer and like, well, I wish I knew more, because you didn't. And so you would want to take the risk and do it while we are here to guide you. Nobody? No, don't volunteer. Do a voluntold now. How do you deal with assessment? Well, how do you assess in your classroom?
Yeah.
We have more people, but I don't know why we don't have much volunteer now. So people that had talked were,
Tempted.
let's call on Albert. Albert, how would you answer that? How do you assess in your classroom?
Hello, Doc. Hello,
Yeah.
Ma'am Michelle.
How do you
Good,
answer that
good evening.
assessment question? How do you assess? How do you know what your kids know? What they want to learn? What they have learned? All that. How do you assess? What kinds of strategies do you use?
Yes, Doc. At the beginning of your subject, we always conduct diagnostic test to
Okay.
our students so that we will be able to know what our students learn from the past lesson.
Okay.
Uh,
Then what?
and we also have the so-called pre-test test.
Okay. So is that all? Well,
Uh,
you have when
so
you
that
address, yeah, go ahead. You get cut off. I thought you were done. Okay.
It's
yes,
probably
Doc.
yeah.
So
Okay.
by that means, we will be able to know what are the things that we are going to give emphasis during our lesson, so that our students will be able to grasp the very concept that we are going to make the students internalize from our lesson.
Very good. Well, yeah, you need to show that you will always assess before, during, and after. Because a lot of times folks would just say things about what you do before or what you do after. You do not say anything about what you do during. So how during, so you could say things like for the pretest, I love that you said pretest and diagnostic. Those are good answers. You also could add like anticipation chart. I could do an anticipation chart where I would do a true or false, 5 true or false questions about the topic. And then I want the students to put T or F on that. That's the beginning. And then later on, at the after, either during or after the lesson, we talk about some of those, and then we would correct our answers there. Yeah, what did you put in here on this particular statement? They said, well, true. And I said, well, in this part of the lesson, this is what it says. So no, you're wrong. It's false. So you're actually having them anticipate what the lesson could be by kind of guessing their answer true or false, but then you correct it. So that's, and also KWL is very, very, very good good way to use as well. But then in the middle of the lesson, you need to also say during the lesson, I would use informal assessment like observations. Some people
Yes,
would
Doc.
do anecdotal records. Some people would actually just take notes on their little clipboard. If they're doing group work, I would get my clipboard and I would be taking notes on how each group was doing and so on. And so you need to show also what you did during, and then on the after, I will give a post assessment, or I would have
Yes.
if it's a writing thing, I would do a post conference with them and so on. And so if it's a group activity, I could have them do a group rubric where they had to assess themselves. How did you do as a group? Rate yourself from 1 to 10, and why? Why are you taking points off? And that's where you would know, because two of our group members did not work, or we were always fighting. That's when they would assess and reflect on how their group did. So whenever you're asked about assessment question, always talk about before, during, and
Before.
after, because it's supposed to be a continuous and ongoing process. Assessment is always like that. It's always ongoing and it's always continuous. You never stop. You're always saying, okay, and at the end of the lesson, then I reflected back. I say, okay, did everybody get it? Mastery is 80%. So what do I do with the other 20%? Are they going to be left behind, or am I going to be pulling them and trying to make sure that the other 20 would be on the same page as the other 80%? So you can kind of, you're reflecting again, not just really assessing, but you're also reflecting. Was it effective?
Yes.
Was it confusing? Was it clear? So you're assessing not just the students, but your own performance as well. Right? Like, oh, the next period when I
Yes.
present the same lesson, I'm gonna do this part because this was not clear. When I did this in the middle of the lesson, this was not clear. Or the end of the lesson, I should have done this. So when you are asked that, that's what you need to do. Okay. Don't just say something about the beginning or the end. Always also answer the beginning and then at the end, what are the next steps? The next steps are always good to show. These are some decisions I have to make. The next day I'm gonna reteach, or the next day I'm gonna do they're ready. They're ready for some kind of written assessment or whatever. And so those are the decisions that you're gonna have to show and say in your interview about assessments. Okay.
Thank you so
Christy.
much. Yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome. Albert. Yeah, good answers.
Kevin.
Christy,
Hello.
what's your comment on that, Christy?
Okay, sorry for that, Doc, because I'm having my online class also when you
It's okay.
call me, so
Yeah, that's okay.
I
So
cannot
what were
answer.
you thinking? Do
Okay,
you
uh, so in my class, since I teach younger grades, I do formative assessments. Can be as simple as asking students, showing their thumbs up
mhm.
or thumbs down if they understand. And also, I do the summative assessment. Might be reading a short story, reading aloud in front of the class, and end of the week. And also, I do have this another formative through exit tickets or a short class discussion. And
Very
sometimes,
good.
yes, weekly, I do have a summative or a weekly test and or a short of a test or a group project like
Yep.
that.
Good answers. Exit slip. I love the formative assessment. That's always good. Guys, sometimes if it's in the, after lunch where people are so sleepy, you can have them like, if you understood that, I want you to get up and jump like, hop like a rabbit or, things like that. So they would actually be, exercising at the same time, but it would work with little kids, but not with high school. But anyhow, I love the formative assessment answer that you have. And it's, what else did you say? The 3, 2, 1 exit is good. Three things you know, two things that you want to share, and then one thing that you may still have a question on. Yeah, that's a good one to have. Be careful about reading aloud. Your students that are not fluent readers will be embarrassed, especially the older kids. They're going to be embarrassed if you're going to have them to read in front. So for my struggling readers, if I'm planning to have them read, I could either partner them up with somebody, or I could have them practice with me, have a little rehearsal, practice with me before I would have them to do that. Because you have to be careful. You don't want to ever embarrass them like they're over there struggling and then their friends are making fun, or, classmates are making fun because they could not read. So you be careful about that part. Okay. So that's all. But
Okay, thank you
yeah.
so much, Doc.
Yeah. Those are good answers. Yeah. So, okay, so I did, how about core proposition one, knowledge of students question? How do you know your students? How do you get to know your students in your classroom? It is important to know your students. What are the ways that you get to know your students in your classroom so you can build a positive relationship with them? What are some ways that you do in your classroom? Some strategies. Anybody else? Lynn? We have more people, so we have more to call. Lynn would be a good one if you want to answer, or Aurora. How do you get to know your students in your classroom?
Um, Hello, ma'am. Oh,
Yeah, go ahead. Is that Lynn? Go ahead, Lynn. How do you get to know your
yes, ma'am.
students? Yeah,
Uh, Good day, ma'am.
good day.
Okay, so I get to know my students by building relationships uh from day one, and I start with simple activities like interest surveys or quick writing prompts, and then and a small group discussions so I can learn about their strengths, challenges, and what motivates what motivates them. And I also pay close attention to uh, uh, to how they interact in class, like their learning styles, and also, ma'am, the kind of support they respond to. So I make time for short check-ins, whether it's greeting them at the door or talking with them during independent work time. And getting to know students doesn't happen in one day. It's a it's continuous process, and the better I understand who they are, the better I can differentiate instruction and create a classroom environment where they feel seen, safe, and motivated to learn.
Very
That's all,
good.
ma'am.
Yay. That's a good answer too. Very complete too. Yeah, I love that you said that that doesn't happen on in one day, but you definitely can start on day one. Yeah, I love the interest inventory that you do, the observations that you do, greeting them. In fact, by the way, everybody, you should be by the door greeting them every day. Okay, make that point to be there every morning. Every time that they leave, they go somewhere and they come in, I'm always right there by the door. Even with my tutoring kids right now, I only have 24 and there's only 4 people at a time that would come in my classroom. I'm by the door waiting for them. So that's a very good practice to have because you will get to observe what they do, who are their friends in the hallway, who are the, who how are they interacting with folks. You may have kids that, you can always tell that walking down the hallway and it's very, very quiet and no friends, like very lonely looking and all that. And sometimes they may just need validation. I would comment a lot of times like, I love. Did you change your hair? I see. Did you have a haircut? So little things like that I would notice. I would say things like that to them, and they would know. Oh my gosh, my teacher noticed that something was new to my hair, and they would notice us anyway. They would say something like, "Oh, Dr. McCullough, did you have a haircut? Did you have your hair colored?" Because I had a skunk line, and so anyway, so yeah, if you do that, those are some positive interaction that you have, and you observing them and seeing who are their friends in the classroom. And I make a point, like some Fridays, I would say, okay, you can choose who you want to sit with. And you will, for example, if you're reading or doing something, you can choose for this Friday, you can choose a friend in a classroom to sit with. Because a lot of times I always assign classroom seating, and I do not put really good friends together because you do not get anything done. They're always like talking or whatever about something else. But so I make it a reward almost, that they get to sit with their friends, sometimes, so some Fridays. And remember, when you're teaching high school here in America, if you put them in the front, that is like a punishment to them. There was a thing about a Filipino teacher here, and she just moved this girl to the front, and she just got so mad, and she said, "What did I do? I didn't do anything. What did I do? Why did you move me to the front?" I'm like, it was a big deal because here in America, that's what teachers do. When we want the kids to, like, kind of punish, we put them in the front. Okay, and they want to sit in the back, just like a bunch of teachers do. I always sit in the front as a teacher because I'm short and I can see. But in America, be careful. The being seated in the front, but you making them sit in the front is being taken by some students as a punishment for them. And so if you ask them to do that without any reason, there's no reason, they didn't get in trouble, they're gonna throw a fit, they're gonna react. Okay, a lot of times I always believe that a question is better than a statement always. It sounds much more like a choice. So I always say, "Hey, so and so, do you mind moving to the front? Is that okay?" I mean, I would always like ask them like they have the power to do that. I do not just boss them around to say, "Hey, so and so, move like this." Like how we might do in the Philippines, how our teachers may have done. That doesn't work here. Okay, so I always ask them question like, do you mind doing this, or do you care so much if I move you here, all that, or I want volunteers to go here because we really need the seats filled. So if I'm gonna do that and not be a punishment, I will get their input on it. So that is a good strategy about knowing students as well. That's knowing students here in America, is that's how different they are. In the Philippines, I don't remember ever worrying about where I sat. Where the teacher told me to sit, that's where I sat. Here, they're like, oh, they really would take offense, the older kids, if they are moved to the front. That means you mean I've been bad? So that's kind of how they would react. So, and I've seen it. So, yeah. And so yeah, very good answer, Lynn. That what I could tell. Have you had interviews before? Because you are very calm. Have you?
Actually, ma'am, yes.
You have. I can
But
tell. I can
unfortunately,
tell.
it's not.
You did well, I bet. Did they give you a good feedback?
Um, no, ma'am.
Hmm. Because I can tell you have had an interview before. That I knew it was not your first rodeo. It's not your first time. Yeah. So keep it up, okay? So always be thinking about multiple things. I always say three is a magic number. So if they ask you to do something, come up with three things and then explain each one. And that's always a good way to be, to be deeper, I guess. So yeah. So good answers. Another one that you could also add is to get to know your kids is when you attend their ball games. You don't have to do that, but in America, I always attend ball games of my students. In fact, right now when I'm tutoring, and this is another school like 20 minutes away, or close to 30 minutes away, and they're inviting me, Dr. McCullough, will you watch our ball game? And I feel bad about saying no, but when I was teaching, I was always watching their ball game because, Monday comes and I would say, hey, 5 points. Wow, I was proud of you. That was awesome. You did such a good job doing this. And I would comment on how they did. And they just thought that was so great that their teacher, had
Appreciate.
attended their games. Yeah, that's going above and beyond. And it is one of the standards here for teachers that you have to meet. Do you do extracurricular things, like you attend ball games? Because that's community connections. That's where you meet the parents, the grandparents, other folks there. I have attended, baptisms. They would say, "Oh, Miss McCullough, I have a baptism on Sunday. Can you come?" That's not my church, but I have attended because I'm attending for my student because that was such an honor that they invited me. And I've attended court hearings when they said, I'm going to get adopted. Will you attend my adoption, hearing? Okay, I'm there. So anyway, so I would always know, those are some things to show them I care about you. You're not just my student here in my classroom. You are always going to be my student. I care about you. And I treat them like I do my own biological kids. I have two biological kids, Jet and Stephanie. I treat them like I would Stephanie and Jet. And so those are some things you could say, that I treat my student just like I would my own biological kids because they're like mine, you know. And even after that year is over, they're still going to be mine. I'm always going to always think of them as my students. So get to know them. Okay. Good answers there, Lynn. Okay.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah. Yeah. I want you to continue www.schoolspring.com and continue to apply. Okay.
Yes, I
Schoolspring.com.
already did, ma'am.
Okay, you did. Good. Do about eight.
Since last year.
Good. 8 to 10 every day. There's always changes every day there.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah.
Since last year.
Good. Do a bunch. Yeah. Do a bunch. You're playing with the statistics there. The more the better for you, chances wise. Um,
Mm.
so next question. We just did a knowledge of students. Now I want to do the knowledge of content. This is a question. What kind of strategies, name some strategies that work for you in your classroom as whatever teacher you are. If you're a math teacher, give me some strategies that were working for you. Why do you use those strategies? So this is a time when you could share some strategies that worked for you. And then this is where you would explain why you would use it and how effective was it and give examples. Okay, so anybody would answer the knowledge of content part strategies question? Shay, I'm going to let you pick somebody to answer the strategy question. Which classroom strategies that work for you and why? And why do you use it, or where'd you learn it? Include that part if you can remember.
Hi, Ma'am Aurora. Are you ready? Can you share your
Ma'am, yes, ma'am. Good evening here.
Hi,
Yes,
the
doc.
Aurora. You want to turn
Yes,
on
good.
your camera?
the weather
I'm,
okay now?
yeah, I'm afraid I might lose my connection,
Okay,
ma'am.
you're fine, Aurora. You're fine. I love your picture anyway. Yeah, answer that question if you don't mind about strategies. What strategies in your classroom that you always use because it works for you?
Okay. So as a teacher, I strive to create an interactive learning environment where students feel encouraged to participate and ask questions. So my focus is on collaboration because as a science teacher, collaboration is always a thing in as a part of my lesson, and because this is what a 21st century learning also looks like. So one collaboration strategy is that I use is the think, pair, share.
Good. TPS?
So
Mm-hmm.
so in this strategy, I will ask a question, and my student will think of the answer and then share it to the class or to the group. So
Okay.
it is also it is done during our activity, group activity. And another strategy is I do, we do, and you do.
That's GRR. That's gradual release of responsibility, GRR. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
So as a teacher, I will perform a skill in science or any other subject. Will do. And then my class and I will do it together. Then finally, students will do it in their own to show mastery and understanding. So
Okay.
lastly, yeah. So after that collaboration strategy, so I also use brainstorming. So they brainstorm what they did during their group activity using like maps, circle maps, or bubble maps, or even organizers.
Very good.
So yeah. So overall, my goal is to foster dynamic and supportive atmosphere that promotes active learning and understanding.
Very nice. Oh, great answers. Wow. A plus answers. We got some A plus
Thank you.
answers there with Emilia and Lynn and the others that answered and Albert. Yes, those are great answers because I do love TPS, think pair share. You may want to also say think pair write share, TPWS, because that way they can also write. So they would write what they so think write pair share, I think TWPS, because they have to write it, then they would share it, because otherwise they'll forget what they put. And that's also one way to get their notes down, the thoughts
Yes.
down. Yeah, so I put TWPS a lot on mine instead of just TPS, but those are good interactive strategies that you said. And what was the other one? The You said the graphic organizers, and what was the first one?
The I do, you do, and you do.
Yeah,
Then
the
after
gradual
that,
release. Okay. The gradual release of responsibility. Try to put one before they do the independent, if the I do, the teacher does, right? And then we do together as a class. Before you give it to them straight as independent work, have them to pair up or small group first, then
Yeah.
you give it to them. Yeah. Try to put in that pair part or the small group part before you give it to them by themselves, because your struggling learners will really suffer if you give it to them straight without having a partner or a little group to support them. So that's what I would recommend is especially if you're not teaching a high class, a high level class, you're teaching like a lower or middle level class, I would provide that extra support as a parent, partner. Some teachers are actually putting their chairs like in partners like this. They're actually in partners already, and so that's very automatic for them, and that would work because research is saying that the student their peers are actually more effective than teachers. They sometimes would listen to us, but when their peers are telling it to them, it actually seems to stick better for some reason. And that's been proven by research over and over again. So that's why I use a lot of the peer tutoring, a lot of the peer work. I use that a lot because I know that it's more effective when their peers are telling them, or they're working with it with a partner or a small group. So I do a lot of that. So yeah. And having a daily notebook, and I know Giselle does this in her room, having a daily notebook where they could write their thinking in, it's always a good idea. I've always, all the 20, close to 30 years that I've taught, I've always had my students do a daily communication notebook or a daily journal or a daily reflection notebook, whatever you call it. Some people would call it interactive notebook. Right now with my tutoring class, they have a notebook and they write down their notes there. They write down, I would give them some tips and I would say, okay, I want you to take notes on this because I want you to make this as to refer back later. So if I gave them like a list of dead words, words that you should never use because there are some better, more specific words to use, like good and nice and all that. Those are little bitty words. Those are dead. So I want you to use this list instead. So I had them to glue it in that notebook. That way they can always go back. You're like, okay, I want you to memorize at least one word instead of good. Say fantastic or wonderful or amazing. 3 syllables or more words. So those are things that you could also incorporate is having writing because writing is thinking on paper. And so when they write, they'll remember it. And also it's good for the parents to see. I always have them date them. And so during parent teacher conference, I show them these are, they have seen them already because a lot of times I have them to have it, especially elementary, to have it signed by parents every night because that's where they put their reflection for the day, what they did, how they felt, so what are some things that they're looking forward to, what are we doing in school. I would show them a template, like kind of more of a template beginning of the year, but later on it became a free writing. They just do whatever format, whatever things that they want to say, but I've already showed them a lot of different kind of paragraphs example that you could use as to use in your journal. And also it's really a very easy way to look at what are patterns of errors that your kids have. Like what I noticed are a small I. I'm so allergic to that when they put those I, and but they use little, because of texting. They they don't capitalize the I. And I just told them like, I'm so allergic to that. I'm gonna have rashes. You're gonna have to take me to the hospital because I'm so allergic to small I in the writing. But anyway, so yeah, those are some things that you could include also. Okay. So under GRR, on the gradual release and responsibility, GRR. And so great strategies. I love those. So we have now done pretty much questions from the different pieces, from the different 5 core propositions.
Okay.
Any follow-ups? Aurora, did you ask us something?
Yeah, I'm just thanking you, Doc. Thank you for the insights, and I will note on that. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah. And again, own it. In my classroom, this is what I do. I do this all the time, all this. And my students, say those words. My students do this. My students feel this way. My students love this, by the way, when I do this. So make it your own story. Okay, don't, because it's so general whenever you just answer it like a general statement is vague. But once you start owning it, in my classroom, this is what it looks like. So a common question that some of my colleagues have asked teachers would be like, if I'm a fly on your wall in your classroom, what do I see? What do I hear? What do I experience? If I'm a fly on the wall in your classroom, and so how does it look like? What would I see? What would I feel? Tell me about the senses that I would experience as a fly in your classroom. So how would you answer this? What would I see? What would I hear? Nobody? Michelle? Shay, do you have anybody brave that you want to call? We have more than a dozen folks here. I think they can answer this.
Hello, Ma'am Leia. Are you ready?
Try my best.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so if you're a fly and you will fly in my classroom, so you will be um you will enjoy the flowers in my classroom. The flowers are my students because they are enjoying interacting with one another. And you would enjoy listening to their interactions with their colleague, with their peers. And because as I teach, when I teach inside the classroom, I let them, I make them, I make my classroom enjoyable. And when I start introducing my lesson, then they would really engage with one another. Like when I present my strategy Kahoot, so they would enjoy the remember the Kahoot has these four um, examples, the
Choices.
four choices usually, and so they would when I ask questions, they are very eager to to raise their answers, and so you would be interested in listening to my lesson. So how did I start? So this Kahoot could also be introduced in introducing my lesson. I could use this as in, a springboard, and from that, my student will start in, they kept engaging, and they always ask me to let's have another Kahoot. So once my lesson finished, and they still keep on another one. So that's why when you enter my classroom, you would enjoy listening to my students, and they are yeah.
Good,
And
good
so
answers. I love, very good. Yay. I love that you chose that you are using technology in your classroom. I love that part. And I love that you showed what the students were, and how they were interacting. You might also want to talk about what your role was. Because you only talk about what your kids were doing, but what were you doing? Were you facilitating? In my classroom, I am a guide on the side, so I'm going around the room. This fly would see me going around the room from one group to the next, giving my feedback, giving my praises and whatever, my specific feedback I would give each group. But I love that you show that your kids are so interested. But at the same time, you also want to see kind of more like, is that all I see? You told me like a little bit at the beginning, but then what else? Like I want to hear. I always start, for example, 5 minute bell ringer. So if that is your 5 minute bell ringer, would be that short Kahoot thing, or something to because that's what it is. The expectations here in America, you start your period with 5 minute bell ringer. Most of the schools are requiring that. So your 5 minute thing,
actually,
and then after that, then you will. So while they're doing the 5 minute, bell ringer, then you could be doing your attendance and all that. You never call the kids, the students one at a time. That's a waste of time. That's a big no-no. Do not call attendance, one at a time, unless it's the first day of school. First week of school, I would accept that. But after that, you should have an assigned seats. So you have your little seat planner thing there where you can just mark who's missing. Okay, so every period I would have a seating plan, and then that's all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look and see who's missing. So I would just count the kids. Okay, two people were missing. Which seats would that be? Or you could have a person in charge of putting that on the board on who's absent. But anyway, so that's 5 minute bell ringer, and then you're gonna have your lesson, and that's what you could say. Is I started this in particular day. This fly could see us doing Kahoot, and all that. And then I wrapped that up. And so I made sure that we did a debriefing. So when they did a debriefing, I made sure that we talked about what are the things that I want them to have gotten from the Kahoot. So what did from the Kahoot, we learned this. So, share some things or whatever. So that's your debriefing part. And then at the end, you're going to have your exit. Like what was said earlier about your exit slip, some different ways that you wrap it up, before they leave. Those are, so you get the whole package, not just
Okay.
one snippet, but you are seeing a whole lesson, and the role of the students, which I love the way that you describe it, that students are so excited, but just make sure that you also describe what your role was. Okay, that I am there. You're not sitting on your desk ordering something from Amazon. which some teachers do that, by the way, but you are over there watching and enjoying with them and, facilitating or whatever. And so, yeah, so good answers. I think we'll have some really good interviews coming up, Michelle.
Mom Leia is improving now,
Yeah,
sharing.
nice.
Another thing, Mom Leia, when you are organizing your thoughts and sharing that, you have to, yeah, you have to describe what they can see in your and make it as a whole package. Do explain how did you start it, how would it end up, and then wrap it, something like that.
Yeah. And you
I
can
was
even, yeah.
afraid the word fly.
They will not ask any more questions because they can already imagine what
Yeah,
you.
yeah, that's nice. And they have since they want to hear and see. So I said, my classroom would be a very cozy, interactive classroom with, with bulletin boards that were, showing whatever. You can describe a
Standard
little bit of your
already there.
classroom. Yeah, you have student work displayed, high quality student work displayed, and so on. They could see that, and so little things like that that you could also include because of the visuals that you want to be able to show them that this is what your classroom could look like. But you can hear kids. It's not a quiet classroom because in my classroom they are over there having the noise that are the learning noise. It's not isn't they're not just talking, but they're really purposely talking about something that we were discussing that I want them to discuss. So you can hear a level. Remember, level 0 is quiet, so level 1 is whisper, level 2. So level 2, so there'll be some level 2 or level 1 noises, but they're not presenting. Level 3 will be presentation voice. So there might be some level 1 and 2 noises that you would hear where they are whispering in their group and so on and all that.
With that question alone by the HR, by the interviewer, and you have described everything, only one, two questions will follow
Yeah,
up.
you should
That.
have. Yeah, you could
So
get a job. Yeah,
you can
I'm
already
still
imagine what they can
really.
yeah.
because you already describe everything.
Yeah, they would ask questions like that because they really want to know what kind of classroom you will have, So yeah, I love that you chose that you were interacting with technology. Just make sure that you show your debriefing and your ending and all that stuff. Okay, just show all the pieces, I guess. If the wall, if that fly on the wall is there for a whole, for the whole period, this is what they see.
By that word.
Huh?
So
That would be the
I
best
cannot
question, and
anymore.
you have to prepare with that answer. That
Yeah,
describe everything, all the
yeah.
possible questions they will ask.
Uh-huh.
The classroom management include that.
Yeah, classroom management for sure would be a question that would be asked. Yeah.
Approaches,
Those
the
passwords.
activity you introduce to your class.
hmm Yeah.
I
It,
was
it,
about
Great.
Yeah, you start with your objectives. You should start with your objectives and you say it in a learning target. So in a statement with I can statement that in a student's friendly language. So I can do this, whatever. And then you say that. And then, for example, if there are 2 or 3 bullets there, you would say that to them. And then you always tell the students why, the why part, the so what. Why do we need to know this? Okay, I always explain to my students, you need to know this because you might need this whenever you do this. So always giving them the rationale for learning something because that's when you are telling their brains to remember this. Because if they don't know the so what part of your lesson, they're going to delete it to short-term memory. But if you tell them the so what part, you need to remember this, it will go to the long-term memory. Okay. And so, yeah. So you start with that always. And at the end, then you go back and say, okay, did we meet our objectives? Like I told you at the beginning, we did this. Did we do that? You literally have to check it off. Yep, we did. Yes, we did. Yes, we did. Okay. So anyway, so if you kind of have a lesson like that, those are what administrators would like to see. Because obviously you have also put in your objectives on the board. You should always put those objectives on the board and then your agenda. I put my agenda, even as a tutor, I put my agenda on the board. This is what we're doing today, and all this. So having that agenda makes them feel safe because they said, okay, we have 4 things to do today. We have 2 things to do today. And then I would have, for example, if you did these 2 things and then you can go to your project. Like, for example, when I was teaching, that we always had a monthly project. So they know they have 2 tasks to do in this so many minutes. And after that, they can go to the project. So they always want to make sure that, okay, I've done this and it's a good high quality, so now I can go to my project. So that's why you have to have an early finishers task, some things to do for people that finish early. And to me, the projects, the monthly project seems to fill that need because they know there's always something they do at the back of the room once they finish with their work. Because you'll have your fast learners, your fast workers that would be so bored in your class if you don't have anything for them to do that will challenge them. And always need to remember that, because in our classrooms and here in America, I'm sure in the Philippines too, that we seem to fail to consider our enrichment projects, like things for our gifted kids. We forget about them. We just let them sit there. If you're going to have them sit there, maybe you can have them become a mentor for somebody else. So you can reach that mentor levels, and mentors will get to do this on Friday. All the mentors can have lunch with me in my classroom. That could be something that they could do. My sister does that. And so anyway, so little things like that you're always planning of something to do for the fast finishers. Okay, because that's when they get in trouble, is when they're like, well, I don't have anything to do. I got done already. They come home and say to their parents, I'm so bored because we do these two things. I get it done quickly and then there's nothing else I have to do. And I get in trouble because I'm trying to talk. Yeah. So those are some things that I want to say, and we're about to be done because I said 2 hours would be our limit. Because in the past we were doing 4 hours. If you've seen some of my old videos, yeah. I think 2 hours would be our limit. I think Shey would agree. So we still have a life that way. So this would be a time we have already all the other questions that you will encounter would be a branch to one of those 5 core propositions. Okay, so any of your questions would be tied. You can tie it back directly to one of the 5 core. So that's why it's important when you answer it, go ahead and make the 5 core propositions in your head. Can somebody, Christy, do you remember the 5 core propositions of National Board? What's the first one? Knowledge of what?
Student.
Knowledge of students. Okay. What's the next one? Knowledge of
Lesson.
knowledge of
Content.
everybody. Let's do this.
Content.
Content.
Knowledge of
What's the third
content.
one?
Strategies.
Assess-
Assessment,
Assessment. What's the last two that rhymes?
Reflection and
Reflection and
reflection, and collaboration.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah. The first two start with the word knowledge, and in the middle is assessment by itself, and then the last two will match, will rhyme. Okay. So that's how you remember it. So I would encourage you to always use it as a checklist. What did I say? I need to say something about knowledge of student. I need to say something about my strategies. I need to say something about how I know, and so then I need to reflect. How did it work? Whatever. And then who are the ones that could help me get this done? Sometimes it could be, if you're talking about lessons, it could be a collaboration with community members coming in as speakers. My husband being a electrical engineer and also a pilot, so I have him come in as my speaker, like when we do our flight unit about flight and electricity and magnetism. So I would have him come in and bring some of his electronic stuff and show the students, circuit and stuff like that, in order for them to learn from somebody local. I would have our our electric company folks to come in and talk about safety. I would bring in the community. And when you do that, you can invite the newspaper and ask them to cover it, and then you put that in your newspaper. But here, like if you do national board certification here, I'm national board certified, and that's really hard because it's like a second board for you, but they pay you extra money. Like here, they get 10,000, like half a million pesos for the year, every year for 10 years, 5 years, 10 years, if you pass this board. And I passed that board twice. So we were able to get it, extra money every year. So we did that for 20 years, my sister and I did. And so anyway, but we do like, you have to show that you are doing the community piece. So we would do a unit, and we would bring in call the newspaper and say, hey, we're doing a multicultural, festival in our classroom or in our cafeteria today. Can you please cover it? And then they would come and take pictures and put you in the paper. And sometimes they would even ask you for help, like, what do you want me to include here? What are the things that you want me to, to feature? And I would give them a little draft. They feel free to use whatever you can on this one. I'd put them like little bullets, whatever. And so, and then we just cut those newspaper clippings and Make that as part of your document. And I think Shey may be able to say that too about what kind of documents if they're doing certain visa. Can they use some of those documents, Shey?
Yeah, they can use those accomplishment they had in their previous years of teaching.
Yeah.
In your in your years of teaching, if you have conducted significant roles and innovations,
Mm-hmm. Where you
create,
involve communities. Yeah, the communities there, audiences.
document everything,
Mm-hmm.
and bring. You can use that.
Yeah. So anyway, so this is for last minute, 2 minute questions, last minute thing that you want to say, comment that you may have, like things you learn. This is the time for that before we close up. So Leah, anybody, do you have something you learned from this session that would also help me and Shay know what kind of content we can bring on the next Zoom,
Next.
which is in 2
I
weeks?
learned from this session that whenever you answer, make it complete.
Yeah, that's
Do
right.
not make
Back.
vague.
Make it a story,
So
right? Make it a
the
story.
story,
That's right.
always a story, and
Yeah.
there's a very nice conclusion.
That's right. Very good. Nice learning. I love that learning. Great learning. Okay, anybody else? This is the reflective part of our learning here. So the reflection piece now. We're collaborating, and so now we're reflecting.
Hello,
So
Dr. Malin.
yeah,
Yes, I also learned that whenever you are interviewed, especially when you ask a question on how to handle angry parents, it's advisable after calming and listening, you write out to to know that to know whether what you have written is what the parent talked about. Then you don't stop there. You counsel and then you follow up until it is resolved and the parent is also okay
very
with the
good.
issue.
I love that learning too, Emilia. Yeah. I'm
I have
telling
another
you.
question.
Yeah. Yeah. And thank
Maybe
you.
when
Huh?
you
Huh?
are done, then I'll ask that one.
Yeah, yeah. So that's a good learning to remember that parents just want to be heard. They just want to know that the teacher is listening to them, that they are there. They took their time from their busy day to come to school, and they're mad about something. Obviously, they care. So you have to consider that they come to school, they care about their kid. So you want to listen. Okay. Anybody else? Any more reflection from Rana, Lynn, Albert? Anybody?
Hello,
Last thing
ma'am.
to say. Mm-hmm. Lynn.
Um, this session gave me the chance to reflect deeply my teaching practice. I realized the importance of being flexible and responsive to students' needs in real time. And I was able to observe um, how students engage with different strategies and reminded me that even small adjustments like clear directions or more structured collaboration can make a big difference in learning. And I also reflected on how important it is to build relationships and create a welcoming environment so students feel comfortable participating. And also, this session, ma'am, reinforced my commitment to continuous improvement and being intentional about every decision I make in the classroom.
Lynn, you are so deep. You're awesome. You are so deep. I love that you always explain, and I love the cause and effect thing that you're sharing. Keep that up. Make sure that you show yourself that authentic you, because that's a really good way to answer questions. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
That's
Yeah.
organic.
Anybody else? Like Janice is here too. Gemma. So any of you that have not answered, but you just want to comment before we close up, I just want you to be recorded so that if I say to somebody, I want you to look at Zoom number 111 because you could see this person. They could see this teacher. That's why I want every one of you recorded because it's going to be on YouTube. And I have referred numbers, Zoom numbers to administrators to look up. So you really need to be, say something. Okay, so Paulina, I think, raised her hand. Paulina, what did you want to say? Or is it Christy? Did you want to say something?
Uh, Hello. So I can say Doc is actually I've done I've done a lot of struggle this week, so my focus is not that right now. So I can say that being in this session, it really deepens my understanding about the US way of teaching. It's really different in here in the Philippines. So we really need to adjust, be flexible, then being the what we call this our sympathy, our authenticity, being a teacher, and our passion. It, it's not just being teaching the students not what's the curriculum, but also the empathy to them and also the collaboration with the parents.
Mm-hmm.
They are partners for growing for the children's for the safety and the well-being of the children. So generally, it really impact me that parents are really partners in teaching students. It's really different here and also there in the US. So generally, I can say that it's really much to learn in US. So I need to more I need study more and practice more and really impact my struggles this week, but I know I can pass this
You
trials.
can. I
So
hope your week gets better. Hi, Christy. I hope
yeah.
your week gets better. I know we have weeks like that, but thank you for sharing some amazing, things that you learned, some nuggets that you learned.
Uh,
So thank you, and hopefully your coming week is better. It's
yeah,
December, girl.
yeah. Have you noticed, Doc? Because during our interview, I'm so enthusiastic like that because, but I
Stressed
have
out.
this week. Yeah, yeah. I
It's
think
okay.
so.
You need to relax. If you have an
Yeah.
interview, think of it like Shay said, that this is your last interview ever, that you're gonna get this
Uh-huh.
job. So
Uh-huh.
don't come with a stressed out Christy, okay? Make sure that you have the relaxed
Yeah.
Christy coming on and be yourself. Yeah. Okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much, Doc.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, anybody else? Anybody else? Because Shay is gonna say her last words, and then I will say it, and Giselle if she wants to, and we are gonna say bye-bye. So anybody else
Hello,
that
Doctor.
been recorded
Hello.
to be? Um,
Hello.
okay, Emilia. Yes.
Yes, I wanted to say that I think the last time we had the introduction, whilst Miss Shea was around, I sent my information like the resume and then, but I've still not heard from her, so I don't know if,
If you got it to her.
unfortunately, yes, I sent my information, but I've not heard from them.
Oh, Miss Shay, have you
Uh,
responded to Emilia?
I think we did, and we had our own personal. Or was it you?
Look
Yes,
at
I
her
think
last name.
I heard one of the mails, I didn't write the correct mail.
No one messaged you. I mean, emailed you.
She need to
No,
resend it.
please.
No,
No,
I'll
please.
just look at it. I just look at it later, and then I'll try to.
Okay, it doesn't resend it, Emilia, just to be sure. Okay, resend it to her. Find it and
Okay,
resend it.
thank
Yeah.
you very
I
much.
think that would
Thank
help
you very
because sometimes it goes straight to the spam. That's what I've been noticing in mine. It will go to spam, so I have to go back and look.
Pinorward ko to sa inyo.
Yeah, so
Kasi
somebody forwarded it. Okay. They figured it, maybe
much.
they're trying to figure it out. Okay. So anybody else?
May
Did
I
we
go?
record everybody?
pinorward ko.
Yeah. So nobody else? Okay, so Shay,
Yes,
what's your
Doc.
last minute thing that you want to say? And then maybe Giselle.
So I'm so thankful for today. This is a great session. Aside from the previous, we heard much about you, and we've learned. And good thing that you are so what's this open enough to accept our positive criticism. It's actually
Yes.
it's for your own good. Always think that if you have the opportunity to get interview, make it as your last and own it.
Yeah, make it your own examples. That's right. Because generic is not going to get you anywhere. Everybody can do generic. Yeah. but the personalizing it in your own classroom, that's hard to do. So do that, okay? And we never, please don't ever think that we're talking down or anything, because we are just collaborating, okay? I don't know it all by no means. I am still continuing to learn and grow, but hopefully between our experiences that we are able to help you, and that this is a growth process, and hopefully you will be on this side of the world, this side of the United States, one of these years, because I look back at my old videos and a bunch of them are here now. A bunch of our regulars are here now. So it makes me proud that when I look at the first few videos that we've done, I'm like, okay, that one is in New Mexico, that one's in Arizona. I could like pinpoint and see where they are. And so yeah, it is a doable dream. It's not just like barking at the moon. It's actually going to be doable. Okay. So we don't have very many, like usually, Shay, I have like teachers that are already teaching here that would share their experiences. They're not here, I think, because it's Thanksgiving. People have families. Normally, we have families. My kids came home earlier. They went yesterday, only one's left. So normally we have lots of people still. So that's what maybe why. And some of them are traveling. I'm so jealous. I think Joel and Myrna are in Chicago, for example. So anyway, all right. So I guess this is Marlena saying bye, and to let you know that you are making a difference in the lives of kids. So do
Thank
remember
you.
that. And on your hard days, like Christy's days, she has a stressed out week, that
Yeah.
it will also get better. Okay, that it will
Yeah.
get better. It's not going to be like that all the
Okay.
time. That's why we're here.
Okay, Doc. I just want to add. I will say thank you for this coaching session. It's an essential part of my teaching growth. And throughout my experience during our coaching, I really welcomed the guidance from the mentors in the coaching session, because it really helps me refine my strategies and better support my students.
Yeah.
And also believe in coaching by peers and sharing insights, and
Yes.
also collaborating to create an engaging and effective learning environment. Thank you for this coaching, Doc and Ma'am Shey. I really appreciate it. It's
You're
really
welcome.
a partnership and strengthen both my teaching and to my students' learning also.
Good job.
Thank you
Hey,
so
you're
much.
very fluent in English. You're awesome. Okay.
Thank
One,
All
you.
right. Say goodbye.
one more
Bye
thing.
bye then. Okay, everybody.
Bye.
Bye,
Hey,
Shay.
one more
What?
thing.
Hang on.
Thank you.
Hang
Thank
Yeah.
on.
you.
I just want to make sure all of you, if you want to commit with us, you
Mm.
will.
You will do
Because
what?
Anaya's Way is an immigration firm as well, so we're on a package. When you commit with us, you are safe.
Yeah. She is. Yeah, you
Thank
can
you.
trust
Thank
them,
you.
and
Thank
then
you.
it's
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you. Thank you so
Doc,
yeah.
much.
You don't have to pay
Doc,
until you get a job offer. So sign up with
Okay.
Just,
michelle.e@anayasway.org. Okay?
just your commitment. You don't need to pay anything yet.
Okay.
As long as you get your
Okay.
job,
Job
then
offer. And we'll try to help you with that. Yeah. Okay. All
hello,
right. So
Doc.
okay, so I have a great weekend, okay, everybody? All
thank
right.
you
See you
so
in two
much.
Thank
weeks.
you.
And that's in 2 weeks. That would be, what would that be? December something. Let me see. December um
Calendar.
December 13th. Oh no, I can't do December 3rd. I can do a short one. That's we have a party, Christmas party, Shay. I will invite you to it. But anyway, yeah, but we can do it. December 13th is our next one, okay? Because we
Okay.
always skip the next Saturday, and then it will be every other Saturday. Okay. All right. See you later. Bye.
Bye,
Bye,
everyone.
Bye,
everyone.
Doc.
Bye bye.
Thank you
Bye.
so
Thank
Bye,
you, Doc.
much.
Thank you,
Thank
Doc.
you, Ma'am
Thank you,
Michelle.
Doc.
Okay.
Thank you,
Bye
Ma'am
bye.
Michelle.
Thank you. Thank you.